Hello and welcome to yet another episode of my podcast, which is called Art Thieves. If anyone tells you otherwise, they don't know. Today, as the title says, we're gonna talk about coffee and loneliness. This is a mug I got as a gift this Christmas. I don't know how to show you that. There's a snowman in there. And you drink your thing in that immense, ginormous cup. It's like my head. It's very nice. And you actually get to see the snowman. I'm richer this Christmas by 3 mugs. One from my best friend Georgia. Thank you so much, Georgia. There is not a podcast episode that I do not mention here. And by a cousin, and most importantly, by my boyfriend. Yeah, I'm in love. I'm a very, very romantic soul, as you can tell. Good for my boyfriend. I was thirsty. Some things before I jump into my wonderful theme of discussion today, because this is what we do here, me, myself, and I, we discuss. I have been very happy with myself for uploading on YouTube, even though it's more scary than it is on Spotify, but more rewarding because you get to see my beautiful, wonderful face and my beautiful, no cringy at all reactions. Yes, my facial expressions that are never awkward, never ever, even when I'm with myself. I have been very frustrated about me editing. This is not something that I like so much. I like that I have to do something, like it's a to-do chore. It's a chore that requires me to be creative and patient, and as I hear myself again, I'm like, oh, okay, I make sense sometimes, but I tend to cut a lot of stuff that shouldn't be cut. I've noticed that I am straight on that, and I do not do a good job editing. So if you are someone who knows how to edit, email me advice, because I don't want it to be public, don't comment it. And also, as you can tell, I never even searched it. I just go with the flow of iMovie. Fixed my hair a tiny bit. So why I wanted to talk about coffee? I have come to the realization that everything that happens in my life I tend to analyze, and why not analyze it with you? This semester, this autumn semester, semestre d'hiver as French call it, I have started drinking coffee, and this actually motivates me to get up and be on time and be slightly before time so I can enjoy my coffee. And here's the thing, I love coffee. I'm so overwhelmed by this thing that I have in here. What can you do? I have to show my face, and this is the lighter it gets. The next level of it is pretty heavy for my eyes, and I think that every time I do that, I'm triggering a migraine. Also, talking all the time triggers a migraine, but I'm a yapper, what can I do? God forbid a girl has hobbies. And how wonderful it is, actually. I have a hobby. I have a lot of hobbies, but I have a hobby that I'm consistent. It's this podcast, and it's the process of having an idea, having a thought, a common phenomenon in my brain, and actually gathering more thoughts and producing something and wanting to talk about it and actually getting all dolled up. Maybe this is a separate episode, why I have a podcast. I wanted to have a podcast at 2025, and I did, and I actually continued doing that slowly but steadily in 2026. Thank you for that. I don't have any fans actually, but thank you for that, my future self and my future fans. Well, not fans, but I would like to have someone to discuss with, like drop a comment and me continuing the conversation. As I've mentioned before, this whole story with coffee really established itself when that semester began, and I was like, oh, I have to take a bus and then take the metro in order to go to my university. And I am not a person of energy. Like all the time, everything I've done so far, I've done with minimal energy, being almost lethargic. A mind as sensitive as mine is always working, and I feel like this is why I don't have a lot of energy in my body. I struggle with sleep, so ding dong, coffee would come one day or another. And I feel like I've actually been very mindful before, like I waited long, and usually everything starts with one cup and one day, and maybe not every day. I used to find it really rewarding being on time, being all dolled up, having my cup of coffee, going to different stores and actually getting a coffee. It felt so nice. I had somewhere to go. I had variety. Suddenly I started noticing more coffee shops, and I'm a hipster, okay? I go to where the cup is cute and where cute people go, and where pretentious people go, I go there also. And I like to hang on tight to my cup of coffee for like, I don't know, max an hour. When I am in a positive state of mind, I try to have a small shot of espresso, not doppio, just a singular one. I sometimes sugar, sometimes not. I had a period that I was completely sugar free. We maybe can talk about it if you like. But I've quitted that idea of being completely sugar free. It doesn't serve me anymore. I usually opt for a little bit of sugar or just sugar, not too much sugar. When I feel like it's gonna be a hard day or that I need a little bit more from happiness, I tend to get flat whites. I love flat whites. They're more than a cappuccino. I know what you're thinking, maybe I should have opted for macchiato, but they're small. I cannot get a lungo. I have been taking Italian. Yeah, is this the right word? I'm learning the language that people talk in Italy. I know that macchiato means to be dirty, and the milk is what makes the coffee dirty. Isn't that amazing, actually? I am a lot of things, so no, I wouldn't be having only one type of coffee. Like, no. And I'm happy about it. Like, I used to believe that we are extremely niche and that I would be extremely niche, but I am in my own way niche. Like, when this and this is like that, I'll opt for this type of coffee. When this and that is like that, I'll opt for another. And I like that. It keeps me company. And sometimes small rituals like that keep us company. It actually helped me a lot to be on time, to feel tidier in my brain, and also my day to have more structure. And it's really difficult because I moved, I live with my boyfriend. I don't know if he'll ever see this. I haven't told him that I have a podcast. If you're seeing this, I hope you still find me pretty, and I love you so much. You have no idea. I try to avoid talking about him because I don't want to be seen as a hopeless romantic and always having him on my mind, but I'm a creature that loves deeply. A living example is Georgia. I mention her every time. So, yeah, maybe it's not that bad, and maybe one day when I'm a successful podcaster, I will say, you know what, this is my podcast. For now, I am shy. So I'm living with my boyfriend farther away than I used to live, and I have to take two buses or one bus and a metro, and it's like a lot. It's not so much a lot. I enjoy not living in the center because the center of a big town is crowded and full of dirty stuff. Like, when you live farther away from the center, there is peace, quiet, it's tidier, it's cleaner. I like that a lot. And when I live somewhere that is not absolutely in the center, I get to see a lot of things when I go to the center, and I have a reason to go to the center, and I have a reason to cross all that road, which otherwise I would just be going out in the center because I am going out in the center. Is this chocolate? Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway, a small little break. I didn't start drinking coffee right now. I have been drinking coffee from the beginning of actually me tasting coffee till today, a lot has passed. I used to feel like every adult in my life like drinks 2-3 coffees per day, and sometimes they're not singular coffees, and I used to be afraid of addiction. And I'm a Pisces, okay? It's easy for us to get addicted. And I used to be afraid of that, and I used to be afraid of actually needing something in order for me to be okay. Who was moralizing what? This is not always a solution to add too much meaning, and yeah, I'm talking about it. Who am I to talk about it? If you tend to deprive yourself of anything that is helpful, you actually begin an extremity. And I'm not a fan of that. I don't thrive in extremity. I actually have found that for myself, balance is possible in my own particular way. When you actually stop to realize that, oh, I actually have control over that, trust in yourself begins to develop, and it's a very steady and nice thing to actually trust yourself. And it always speaks in a calm language. Trust always speaks in a calm language. If you have to force it, then it's not trust. And I found that to my core, I am a person that is very enthusiastic, and I have always had small rituals. Like when I was a child and I used to have OCD, I used to play with numbers in a painful way. But I used to play with numbers. I used to count things like people with certain color hair or tiles or whatever I could count, and I used to count the in-betweens, I used to multiply them, and I used to view faces where they didn't exist. And I used to try to realize that where is a face hidden? Like, where can I draw a face with my imagination? This was a ritual, a self-regulating ritual for me to stay calm and to have my enthusiasm and imagination go somewhere, because they had nowhere to go. I wasn't the writer back in the day. And it's very lonely when you don't do something creative, when you don't do what your soul wants you to do. It gets lonely because you get disconnected from yourself. And I used to expect to find that enthusiasm in other people before starting a podcast. And I used to be like, yeah, I want to talk about that. And they didn't want to talk about anything philosophical or find meaning where it's meaningless. I used to feel so alone until I opened Pages and I started writing my book, until I opened the photo booth and filmed and actually edit on iMovie. And coffee does that also for me. It makes it more easy for me to welcome my enthusiastic self. It lowers my anxiety because my happy and optimistic self actually is there. It just needs a little bit of a push to rise to the surface. And anxiety keeps it down. Like, anxiety doesn't want my super enthusiastic self being out because I am exposed, I am vulnerable. I have been shamed into thinking that I shouldn't be excited about the small things in life. And as we're talking about rituals, I have two. One is that after my first lecture, that tends to be the only one for some days, I go to the center, I buy coffee, and I just stroll a little bit or take a road that I don't usually take, or I have a very specific path. I have many roads in the center that I love. They are closer to the sea, with more chic pastry shops, more chic coffee shops, and shops where one can buy clothes or something in the decor, something like that. And I love that about myself. And yeah, sometimes I would like to have a friend there, but some other times it's just me and coffee, and I know that I have company. It's the small interactions with other people, like a girl my age can smile at me when she makes my coffee and I'll be like, thank you so much. It's so gentle to ask for something that doesn't cause pain and actually receive it, because there are many jobs that people can interact and have a nice conversation. Like, if I go to buy earrings, only joy can be gained from that. If I go to buy coffee, only joy can be gained from that. Outside stimulation is very important also because we are human beings. And in my stroll, in that path of mine, I see a lot of people, and I don't need to interact with them. I just see them. I see mothers or fathers with their children, and I'm like, oh, love is indeed all around. And they see people walking their dogs, and I'm like, oh, especially big dogs. Like I love a big dog. But okay, no shame to the small dogs, except if they are chihuahuas. Me no like. And those dogs that you have to actually go to the groomers, they're white and I think they're called canis. I'll add that on the edit. Sometimes I stop and gaze a little bit the buildings, how they are designed, how they are painted. I'm not very interested in those stuff. Like, I'm interested in literature. But a good writer is the one that makes you feel like you are in the landscape. And by yeah, not me intellectualizing, simply just gazing somewhere. But when you are descriptive, that means that you have gazed a lot. I like that about myself, and I like that about other writers also. Not me talking as if I am a writer, even though I haven't published anything. But I'm writing, so that means that I'm a writer. And this is a ritual. It clears my mind, it makes me feel connected to myself that is optimistic, and it makes me feel so happy that I can actually be happy with simple things in life. Another ritual that I have that is very much me is when I go to a coffee shop in the center again and I am alone. I have my laptop and I edit my podcast, or I journal. This is gonna be another episode about journaling, yeah. Or I write my book, or I simply do something like reading a book, another book. Yeah, I do that also. Of course, coffee exists. And if I go to my favorite coffee shop, they give you something like mini waffle bites with Nutella, and it's like, oh my god, and some chantilly, like whipped cream. And oh my god, I devour those things. And I try not to eat like a pig and actually be enjoying every bite. And I'm so in the moment. Like, I'm so in the moment. And I see a lot of people around me, and I hope to see a lot of people around me because I don't want that store, that coffee shop to close. Like, I want to be 80 years old and still be visiting that coffee shop. I love that. I have conquered that because I used to be so afraid of going there because I used to be shy. I go there and I know that they don't like me there. Like, they see me and they're like, ugh. But I still go because the atmosphere is very nice and it has its own particular smell, like very sweet and flowery. And I am part of a whole group. People come there and maybe they're with their children, or old cool ladies show up, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be like you when I grow up. And I want to have friends and come in coffee shops. I know that this phase won't last forever, and maybe someday I will be seen as an old lady writing on her laptop, poor lady, and I won't be poor. I will not be poor as in pity. I'll just be there writing and being in the present moment. Sometimes that helps me a lot, and that ties to loneliness, the second part of the title. Oh my god, you thought I was gonna forget, right? But no, we're gonna get into that. I didn't expect to talk that long. I didn't even expect it to. Oh my god, I'll have a migraine editing this. Yeah, it's okay. I'll stop whining about editing. When I am at home, I have fun being alone. Mind you, I lived alone. I have fun being alone for like 2 hours top because I get to clean at my own pace, I get to eat at my own pace. This is getting difficult every day, but I get to dance a bit, I get to do some cardio, at least I used to do. Right now I'm so to do any type of exercise that will overwhelm me, make me feel sweaty, and then I have to shower and probably do my hair. And oh my god, I'm so sensitive to the change of temperatures, and sometimes my stomach hurts, especially when I'm cold, even for a second. Yeah, this is maybe gonna be a separate episode on after those hours being alone. I'll feel unease. I'll feel the difficulty to sleep being more and more evident. I'll feel like I'm not really alone, but in the most negative sense. Now, I don't have paranoia or something like that. I just feel a general unease. I have an immense fear. Like, I used to be so afraid of the dark when I was a child, and guess what? Everyone told my dad and my mom that I'm gonna get over it, and guess what? I didn't. And this fear was so immense that it actually got externalized, and I used to believe that I'm afraid of something else rather than my loneliness. I was only afraid of my loneliness, and I felt immense loneliness. Loneliness enough for two lives, dare I say, and I'm only 20. Yeah, it's fun to dance around and not being perceived, but who doesn't want to share the joy of dancing around and being whimsical together? I just enjoy being alone because I'm so triggered when I'm being perceived. And when I have those rituals in public, I am alone basically, but I'm not isolated, and I have a lot of different options. Like, if I get bored, I will go grab a sweet treat, or I will go try on some clothes for when I have money to buy them, or I will try to walk by the sea if it's not very windy, and I can just pick another store. I can grab something to eat, not a sweet treat, which happens so rarely because I always crave sweets. Yeah, I'm a sweet creature. I would say that these rituals mean that I have a proof that I am a part of this world. It keeps crossing my mind a famous line from Camus, Albert Camus, you know. Some people call him Camus, but what? He said something along the lines, should I lean into despair or make a cup of coffee? He didn't actually say that, but I'm not gonna repeat what he said in my podcast because I am terribly afraid of being censored. I have thought about this line a lot. Firstly, I used to feel more like the first part, and after years passed, I feel more like the second part. Like, yeah, I can make a cup of coffee. I would like to think of it as a way of sometimes we need small rituals to survive, and surviving is a ritual. And we keep rediscovering what people before us knew. Maybe time isn't linear after all. They always paid attention to symbols, they always paid attention to insignificant moments, and rituals were part of their instinct, and maybe they are part of ours also. And this leads me to the wonderful conclusion that maybe loneliness doesn't need to be cured in that super individualistic way we think. Maybe we just need company. Isn't that actually wonderful? We forget a lot that we are creatures of company and that we are actually sociable. Someone more, someone less, but we are all sociable creatures. That most of us are introverted. Most of the people that are gonna listen to this podcast, I know that they are introverted. There are people who are extroverted, but we are all able to socialize. My hyper independence used to make me think that I have to solve everything alone and that I have to be super independent and it's the only way around. And then OCD came there and made that so absolute. Like, yeah, you always have to choose yourself and you always have to do that and that and that. But choosing yourself also means that love is gonna be allowed. Who doesn't love? You have to be so and have your walls so much up in order to not allow love. And been there, done that, it takes one to know one. And I've realized that I thrive when I love and when I'm safe to love. And I know that I'm not unlovable. I've noticed that when I don't have the ability to show to someone that I love them, tend to not be a pleasant person. I have been having the time of my life. Like 2025 was the best year of my life. I met my boyfriend, I live with him, he's amazing, he's the definition of beauty in my mind. I hope you're seeing this, but he knows. And he has made it so effortless for me to show my love because it's effortless for me to love, but it's not effortless to show it. I'm so sensitive that if I sense even a tiny bit of, oh, I don't want you that much, oh my god, crazy. Not crazy in an obsessive way, just crazy. Oh my god, what I'm gonna do with all that love. Oh my god, oh my god. And life is so nice when you get to love, because then, for me at least, I feel so safe to feel other forms of love. And sometimes it's tenderness, even tenderness. I'm not open to tenderness when I am having my walls up, and suddenly I am more open when I love. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that life is black and white, but love plays a huge role in everything, and I'm terrified of people who do not think that way. I think that I know little of them. Like, no, I don't have anyone in my life that doesn't view love as a priority. People who come in my life and view love as optional, I'm like, oh my god, we don't last long. Let me tell you that. This was about it for today, and I'm sorry if I didn't make much sense. Oh, and before I go, of course, I'm gonna show you the art as of almost every time that I end the podcast. This is a wonderful painting. I will leave the name of it in the edit. It's called Sunrise on the Matterhorn by an American German painter. His name is Albert Bierstadt, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Fun fact, I have B1 in German. I don't know how to use it, man. I don't know. It's oil. Yeah, incredible. And for me, it's how I interpret loneliness. Because it used to be that scary thing of I am so alone, it has no ending, I see no light in the end of the tunnel, and here I am appreciating loneliness as a choice of mine and not as something that is inevitable, even though I am so afraid of it. But two types of loneliness exist, and it used to exist only one, that it was negative. It's lonely, it's a landscape, okay, it's probably, the sun is probably setting, but before the sun sets, it's actually a moment of a pink sky, and it's so comforting. And for me, it's that comforting feeling that I can enjoy its autonomy. I can enjoy being alone. Someone's waiting for me, and I'm waiting for someone, and I know I'll see them, and I know I'll see another person that I love, and another, and I'm capable of loving and capable of holding that love. I'm not a stranger to myself. Obviously, I'm afraid of loneliness, and I am afraid of ending up only with my thoughts and being desperate for a smile. But let's just keep that for now. Loneliness exists, and it's calm, it's appreciating the moment, and it's also knowing that, yeah, it's a choice. Not much of a choice, but it's a choice. Sometimes it's the best choice available, but doesn't make it automatically the best. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening again. I am very thankful. I'm very grateful today, yeah. And I'll see you someday in the near future. I have gotten into the habit of saying as if I want to everyone. No. But I am a very loving creature. So enjoy it, because it's not a given.